All right, so let's say you're about to go into this interview for a technical manager position. You've got the technical skills for sure, but how do you show you're not just a coder, but a leader?
Well, that's what's so great about this deep dive we're doing today.
Right.
We've got this amazing article from Indeed.com, and it really breaks down what it takes to nail a technical manager interview. It's almost like a cheat sheet, really.
Totally. It's like having an inside scoop.
Exactly. And one thing that really struck me is how much it goes beyond just the tech stuff,
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not just about coding skills, is it?
It's not just that. It's about all those leadership qualities, those soft skills that, to be honest, can make or break a team.
I've always wondered about that phrase, soft skills.
Oh, yeah.
It seems kind of vague.
Mhm.
Like, does it just mean be a nice person?
Not quite. Think of it this way. You could be amazing at coding, a real rock star, but if you can't motivate your team or deal with conflict or even just communicate effectively, you're going to run into some serious problems.
I see. So it's not enough to just know the code. You've got to know how to lead a team through all the ups and downs.
Absolutely. And this article gives some really specific examples of how those skills come into play. Like, picture a situation where you've got this tight deadline and everyone's stressed. How do you keep the team on track and productive without letting things get out of control?
Yeah, you definitely need more than just technical knowledge to handle that kind of pressure. So, how does the article suggest we tackle these tricky interview questions?
It gives you this really useful framework for approaching them.
Okay.
It breaks them down into key categories. So, for example, there's the classic, how do you manage deadlines question.
Oh, I've heard that one a lot.
Right. But it's not enough to just say, oh, I'm good at meeting deadlines.
Right.
You need to show how you actually do it, have a strategy.
So it's about showing how you think, how you approach problems strategically, not just giving some canned response.
Exactly. And they even give some sample answers that highlight the kind of things interviewers are looking for. Things like communicating clearly, planning ahead, and being able to adapt when, let's face it, things inevitably go wrong.
And let's be real, in tech, things almost always go wrong at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another question that really caught my eye was, describe a complex project you managed.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one too.
They actually used the example of integrating legacy systems, which is always a fun challenge.
Oh, legacy systems. That's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole,
Exactly.
sometimes with duct tape and a prayer.
But that's actually where your problem-solving skills really shine. And this question is a golden opportunity to show how you can handle a really tough technical situation.
So it's not just about having all the answers.
Right.
It's about showing you can think on your feet and find solutions when you hit those unexpected obstacles.
Exactly. And they take it even further with questions about conflict resolution. We all know conflict is inevitable when you're working on a team.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But how you deal with it makes a huge difference.
I've definitely seen my fair share of workplace drama over the years.
Right. Well, this article emphasizes the importance of addressing conflicts directly and early on. Brushing things under the rug just leads to bigger problems later.
Makes sense. So we've got managing deadlines, handling complex projects, and dealing with conflict. What else is in this treasure trove of interview advice?
Another thing they emphasize is how important it is to stay updated, especially in tech.
Well, things change so fast, right?
Exactly. It's constantly evolving. And there's that classic question, how do you keep your knowledge and skills current?
Let's be honest, in tech, if you're not constantly learning, you're falling behind. It's like a race against becoming obsolete.
That's a great way to put it. And the article suggests showing a mix of formal and informal learning. It's about proving you're truly curious and committed to staying ahead of the curve.
So it's not just about attending the occasional conference. It's about showing a genuine passion for lifelong learning.
Exactly. And they also get into a really critical aspect of leadership, decision-making.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's this really interesting question about a time when your decision was crucial to a project's success.
Oh, I love those kinds of questions. It's a chance to tell a story, to show your experience and judgment in a real situation.
Right. And they actually share this compelling anecdote
Yeah.
about a software vendor suddenly going out of business in the middle of a project.
Oh, wow. Talk about a curveball.
I know. But the way they handled it showed those key qualities of adaptability and thinking quickly. They had to find a new solution fast and ultimately kept the project on track.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. It's not just about knowing all the answers. It's about showing how you deal with those high-pressure situations, how you think critically, and how you lead your team through uncertainty.
That's it. And they tie it all together really nicely with the question of how you measure success.
Mhm.
It's not just about meeting deadlines. It's about delivering a quality product, making sure the customer's happy, and, really important, fostering the growth of your team members.
So it's about the bigger picture, the long-term impact, building something that lasts.
Exactly. And, they also get into some of the methodologies that are so common in the tech world,
Yeah.
like Agile and Scrum.
Ah, yes. The what methodologies do you use?
Uh-huh.
This question. It feels like a rite of passage for any tech interview.
Uh-huh. Right.
But sometimes, to be honest, I think we use those terms without really understanding what they mean in practice.
That's a really good point. And even though the sample answer in the article is pretty brief, it does open up the conversation about why these methodologies are so effective for tech teams.
Yeah, it's one thing to say you use Agile, but it's another to explain how it actually impacts your team's work and productivity.
Exactly. And they also touch on the art of delegation, which honestly can be really hard for some leaders.
I know, I've definitely seen people struggle with that. It's like they either micromanage everything or they just dump tasks on people without any clear direction.
Right. Well, this article really focuses on finding that balance,
Mm-hmm.
utilizing your team members' strengths while giving them the support and guidance they need.
So it's about empowering your team, not just giving orders.
Exactly. And while we're talking about things that can go wrong, they also cover risk management. It's something people often overlook, but it's so important for any technical manager.
True. It feels like in tech, there's always some new risk lurking around the corner, ready to derail your project.
I know.
Yeah.
But this article advocates for a proactive approach, like figuring out potential problems early on, creating backup plans, and just being ready to adapt if things go off track.
Like a pre-mortem for your project. Think through all the things that could go wrong and have a backup plan.
Exactly. It shows you're thinking strategically, not
Mhm.
just hoping for the best.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
We've talked about deadlines, complex projects, conflict resolution, staying updated, making tough decisions, and mitigating risk.
Sure.
You know, what really stands out to me is how much this article focuses on the human side of being a technical manager.
That's so important.
Yeah.
You can be incredibly skilled technically, but if you can't communicate well, build relationships, and motivate your team, you're not going to be very successful.
It's about more than just writing code. It's about leading people.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this whole journey so exciting. It's not just about getting the job, it's about the chance to make a real difference, to build something meaningful and help others grow along the way. It really is. And this Indeed.com article actually goes even deeper.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, they have this whole other section of bonus questions.
Oh, cool.
It's almost like they're challenging us. Like, okay, you got the basics, now let's see what you're really made of.
I love a good challenge. Hit me with it. What kind of questions are we talking about?
Well, one that stood out to me was about dealing with employees who are underperforming.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough, no doubt. But it's something every manager has to deal with at some point.
For sure. I've been there, and it's not easy. It's like you're trying to find that balance between supporting someone and holding them accountable.
Right. And the article really emphasizes addressing those issues early on,
Okay.
setting clear expectations, giving constructive feedback.
I think it's also really important to figure out why someone's underperforming in the first place. Is it a skills gap? Lack of motivation? Or maybe something going on outside of work?
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's about seeing the whole person, not just their work.
Oh.
And actually, that leads into another question they bring up, giving negative feedback.
Ugh. Yeah. Nobody enjoys that.
No, not really.
Yeah.
But it's a skill every leader needs to develop.
Definitely. I used to dread those conversations, but I've learned it's all about how you frame it.
Mhm.
Focus on specific behaviors, not making it personal.
Exactly. And the article has some really practical tips on delivering feedback that's direct but respectful.
Mm.
It's about helping people improve, not just criticizing them.
As we're going through these questions, it's making me realize how much of this comes down to communication.
Oh, absolutely.
Being able to communicate clearly and effectively, but also with empathy, is so crucial for any manager, especially in tech.
Couldn't agree more. Communication really is the foundation. Whether it's deadlines, delegating, conflict resolution, or even giving feedback, communication is key.
And it's not just what you say, it's how you say it too. Being aware of your tone, your body language, and who you're talking to.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable and being self-aware.
Yeah.
And this article also touches on emotional intelligence.
Oh, interesting.
Being able to understand and manage not just your own emotions, but also the emotions of those around you.
That's something I've been thinking a lot about lately.
Really?
Yeah, especially as technology gets more complex and everything moves faster.
Mm,
It seems like being able to navigate those emotional complexities is more important than ever.
for sure. And I think this article does a great job of highlighting that human element of technical management. It's not just about the code, it's about the people.
Sometimes those interpersonal dynamics are more challenging than the technical stuff.
Oh, tell me about it. But that's also what makes this role so rewarding. It's about leading a team, inspiring them, and helping them reach their potential.
And building something together, something bigger than yourselves.
Exactly. And this Indeed.com article gives some really practical advice for not just preparing for the interview, but also for succeeding in the role once you get it.
It's interesting you say that because going through all this is making me think about the importance of storytelling.
Oh, stories, yeah. They're so powerful for connecting with people and bringing your experiences to life.
Think about it. Would you rather hear someone say, "I'm a great problem solver," or hear them tell an engaging story about a time they overcame a challenge and led their team to success?
The story, for sure. Every time. And we all have stories. Stories about times we were tested, about projects that pushed us, times we had to make tough decisions.
Right, or navigate tricky situations with people. Those stories are what make us who we are. They shape how we lead, and they make us more interesting candidates.
It's about showing, not just telling. And I think that gets at something really important. Authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
When you share your real experiences, your passion, your values, that comes through.
Absolutely. And it helps the interviewer connect with you, on a human level,
Right.
which can make a huge difference.
So for our listener who's getting ready for that technical manager interview, my advice is embrace those stories.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to share your experiences, both the good and the bad.
Be real, be relatable, be yourself. Ultimately, that's what will make you stand out.
And remember, even if you don't have all the answers right now, that's okay. Part of being a great technical manager is constantly learning and growing.
It's about being curious, being adaptable, and being passionate about leading and inspiring others.
You said it perfectly. We started this deep dive talking about interview questions, but it's become so much more than that. We've really been exploring what it means to be a leader in tech.
And the impact we can have not just on our teams, but on the world.
It's about creating a future where technology truly serves humanity.
Well said. To our listener who's on this journey to become a technical manager, we're cheering you on. It's a challenging path, but it's incredibly rewarding.
And remember, you don't have to have all the answers right now. The most important thing is to keep learning, keep growing, and stay curious.
And with that, we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive. We hope you found it helpful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit fun.
Until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and keep diving deep.
It's really inspiring to think about all the possibilities, but before we get too carried away, I want to come back to our listener,
Okay.
the one who's actually prepping for that interview, right? We've talked about a lot of high-level stuff, but is there any practical advice, things they can do to actually nail that interview?
I'm so glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Because this Indeed.com article has some really helpful tips.
Oh, good.
And one of the biggest things they emphasize is preparation,
Preparation.
which might seem obvious,
Yeah.
but you'd be surprised how many people go into interviews without doing their homework.
You know what? I've been on the other side of the table, and it's so obvious when someone hasn't bothered to research the company or the role or even who's interviewing them.
Oh, for sure.
It makes such a difference.
It shows you're serious about the opportunity.
But that's-
That you're genuinely interested.
Exactly.
And it's not just surface level research.
Mm-hmm.
This article really encourages you to think through those tough questions we've been talking about.
Right.
Like, practice your answers out loud. Maybe even do a mock interview with a friend.
I love that idea. It's one thing to have the answers in your head, but it's another to be able to say them out loud clearly and confidently in the moment.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they also talk about asking thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It's your chance to show you're curious, engaged,
Right.
even to show your strategic thinking.
It's almost like you're interviewing them, too. Right.
Exactly.
You're figuring out if this is the right team, the right company for you.
It's all about finding that alignment, that shared purpose.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask about the things that really matter to you, like the company culture, the growth opportunities, what kinds of technical challenges you might face.
You got it. And speaking of alignment, I think it's worth mentioning that this whole deep dive has been about so much more than just getting a job.
That's true.
It's about finding your place in the world of tech,
Mm-hmm.
using your skills and your passions to actually make a difference.
It's not just a paycheck, it's a purpose.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay, ready?
We've talked about the challenges technical managers face in general.
Right.
But let's get specific. What unique technical challenges do you think you might encounter in this role? And how would your particular skills and experiences prepare you to handle them?
That's a great question. It's about taking everything we've talked about and applying it to your own situation, your goals, and the specific company you're interviewing with.
Exactly. It's showing them that you're not just any candidate. You're the perfect fit for this specific opportunity.
So, to our listener out there who's on this journey to become a technical manager, we believe in you.
You got this.
You've got the skills, the passion, and now, hopefully, the insights to ace that interview.
And even if things aren't always clear, your preparation, your passion, and your willingness to learn will guide you.
That's so well said. We've covered so much in this deep dive, from those specific interview questions to the bigger picture of leadership and impact.
It's been a journey of exploration, and I hope our listener feels empowered to take on those challenges and embrace all the amazing things that come with being a technical manager.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed it and found it helpful and maybe even a little bit transformative.
Until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and keep diving deep.